I often find myself a little bit jealous of people who do suddenly feel like, you know what, it's just time to tell the world that I'm a little bit different. I've never really dared to do that. I've actually been kind of terrified to come do this interview because it's the first time that I've ever officially talked to anybody about it in a way that it would be shared.
I always felt really out of place. Ever since I was a little kid, I felt kind of othered.
I really wanted to connect with kids my age and be accepted and whatnot, but at the same time, a lot of behaviors that they engaged in didn't fit with the standards that I was taught.
I never had a moment that was like, is this okay? Is this something I should or should not be doing? I was just like, this is normal. This feels normal. This is normal. It wasn't until I saw people's reaction to it that found out that it was not.
I didn't really start working through it until I got to college. I had accepted it and I knew I was gay, but I was like, whatever, I'll come out when I move out. I don't have to worry about it right now.
It took me a long time to really even decide to let in the idea that I might feel different than a lot of people. There's so much of a status quo that is expected. I just kind of forced myself to believe that I must be part of that status quo.
I guess you could say I came out late summer, early fall of 2019. I kind of just said screw it and started transitioning.
My testimony of the church and the gospel was so integral to me, but so were these feelings.
It didn't feel unnatural to me to have these feelings. I never had a moment where I was thinking about it because it just all kind of came naturally. The reason that I wanted to identify it finally and come out and say something about it was because so many people were labeling me before I had the chance to.
I just gathered my dad and my mom and my sister and I was like, I'm gay and me and Hannah are dating. Immediately my mom just her body language just shriveled up and started crying. And then I came back up to Logan the next morning. Right as I pulled into my apartment parking lot, my older sister called me and was like, you're disgusting. I don't want to, you're not my sister anymore. I just sat there with her on the phone and then she just hung up. So I was like, didn't get a word in. And then my younger sister called me and was like, she took down all your pictures in the house, any picture that you were in, she took down. I was like, well, then I'm just not gonna come home. If they're gonna act like that, then I'm just gonna stay in Logan.
Straight off the bat for my transition, I just immediately started presenting femme. I would go out in sundresses and stuff when I was pre-transition, and I didn't care. I think it literally may have not even been 2 weeks after I came out. I was walking down the street and I had a car pull up to me and I was egged and yelled slurs at. It definitely was a really discouraging thing.
In college is when a lot of behavior and acting on feelings came out. But it got to the point where I was going so far pursuing kind of the sexual orientation, those passions, that I was neglecting the spiritual side of myself. And that was a huge realization. It felt like so many people were saying, be true to who you are, and in pursuing that advice, I found myself not feeling like I was being true to who I was. And through the help of a friend, I was able to find that harmony. Those feelings and those desires that I truly had, I was able to encapsulate them and incorporate them into my testimony of the gospel as well.
We were in quarantine. I hadn't heard anything from my mom. And then my older sister called me and she was like sobbing and she's like, I'm so sorry. That was like horrible of me to say all of those things. She told me like what she said came from more of a place of like, she felt like she was getting replaced as like a sister. And she's like, but like now that I think about it, like I've really realized like who am I? Judge who you love. I want you to have that kind of love.
It was really like painful to be like having to grasp like, wow, I'm really having to give up being treated with basic human dignity. And even though it like happened so quickly, I didn't care. All that really mattered is there was nothing could compare to like the actual feeling of liberation of feeling at home within oneself. You know, it didn't really matter how rough things were because I had that.
One of the biggest trials I've ever gone through is people not believing that I love them. If I had one message out to the world, it would be just to have a little bit more faith in people.
I had created this idea in my head that being an adult was just being lonely. So when I went to college, I started going to like the Queer Student Alliance that they have on campus, and I immediately met 10 of my closest friends that I had my freshman year of college. And I would just get home after like spending a night with them and I would just sob because I was like, this is what family is supposed to feel like. I think finding that on campus and like seeing what even just people who were just a couple years older than me, what they were doing, like showing themselves and standing up proudly and like saying and creating that space for me to figure that out and find my people made me really want to be a part of that as well.
I've been fortunate enough that I've found people in my life who I can call my family. Like my whole blood family may not be super supportive of me, but I still do have a strong sense of family in my life, and I'm very lucky to have the people in my life that I do consider family.
Like the biggest thing coming out for me is I like leaned into like my chosen family. The people who actually cared and were like genuine and I knew like loved me no matter what. They became my family.
I think everybody, no matter how they feel love, is going to feel it a little bit differently than you. And believe them. If everybody in the world was just a little bit more willing to believe that when someone says they love you, that they really do, I think a lot of things would change for the better.
Who am I now? A lot of people would probably place me in the category of gay. I think that's in large part because I didn't want to be identified with any of those labels, because I want to be me.